Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, it's Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things through a common sense lens. And from the very first teaser of the Minecraft movie trailer that they put out there, it was absolutely a horrifying situation. The trailer looked ridiculous, a lot of the fans absolutely despised it, and it got ratioed into oblivion beyond all shadows doubt. Now, since then, the newer trailers that have come out have done significantly better, but at the exact same time, it's one of those things that first impressions matter a whole lot. And well, boys and girls, for a movie that is releasing this weekend in the box offices, needless to say, it is not getting a very good start because the critics absolutely despise this movie. Boys and girls, you have Dextero over here saying literally a Minecraft movie is the worst film of 2025 so far, and it's not doing much better with all of the rest of the critics over there on Rotten Tomatoes coming in at a 54%. Now, given to be completely and totally fair, most of the legacy media institution critics generally absolutely despise any video game adaptation out there in any way, shape, or form. They think they're better than the video games. They're snooty, they're tooty. Oh, these video game adaptations. I've never played video games. I'm a movie critic. I'm a cinephile. I don't do those kind of things. So a lot of the time, they're not really going to understand all the references and the cheap gags and stuff like that. They obviously absolutely despise the Super Mario Brothers movies when it came to the Rotten Tomatoes score out there, and it's still that movie ended up making over $1 billion globally. The audience scores absolutely loved it, and they had a blast with it. Many people saw it multiple times out there. It was just a beautiful success story to see a proper video game adaptation actually happen. But boys and girls, I think there's a lot of fans and audiences out there that are absolutely terrified about this movie and what it might think. But at the end of the day, the audiences will be the ones that decide. The critics don't matter all that much, but they can give us a little bit of an insight as to what the general audiences might potentially think going forward, depending on what they actually say on this. So boys and girls, the real question is, based on the current box office predictions, based on what this critic score says as well, is the Minecraft movie going to make any money at the box office? Well, we're going to check out this article over from Dextero, as well as jump over here to Variety, and then of course show you some of the reviews that Rotten Tomatoes has had as well, and give you a kind of general idea of where this movie currently sits at right now, and maybe give us some kind of predictions and a little bit of back of the hand math to find out whether or not this movie is actually going to make a profit, because at $150 million reported production budget, which we know those are normally a little higher than what's actually reported, this movie needs to make about $500 million globally. The real question is, with the current box office predictions and the trajectory, will that actually happen? And what do the critics say, and why do they hate this movie so very much? Well, boys and girls, that's exactly what we're going to get into here in just a moment. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls. Because we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. We just crossed 1,700. We're on our way to 1,800, and we'd sure like you to smash that little button down there and help us reach that goal. Also, let us know what you think about all this in the comment section down below. Do you think this is going to be a horrifying disaster, as a lot of people do? Do you think this movie will end up being a bounding success and end up making $1 billion, or do you think it will come somewhere in the middle? Are you looking forward to this movie? Are you willing to give it a chance because you're a Minecraft fan? Let us know what you think about all that in the comments, or are your kids dragging you to go see it because they're Minecraft fans? Let us know what you think about all that in the comments section down below. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. All right, so Dextero over here on X says Minecraft fans should stick to the game and moviegoers should spend their money elsewhere. Now, I'm not going to go over the whole article here because he absolutely eviscerates. Oh, this is Jasmine Valentine. Never mind. I think this is probably a chick. Needless to say, Jasmine, she absolutely eviscerates this movie. And she even admits in this article that she does kind of like a lot of bad movies when it's bad for being bad's sake, and you really are able to enjoy it. So we'll start with the beginnings here, jump to some of the highlights, and then get to their final conclusion, because this is absolutely eviscerating, and then we'll go through whether or not this is actually going to mean anything for the box office and how well it's predicted to do. So in a world of video game adaptations, there are two schools: absolute bangers, e.g. The Last of Us, and immediate flops, e.g., well, a Minecraft movie. Sorry I had to find out this way. Unfortunately, for some reason, they didn't bring Super Mario Brothers into that equation. But either way, so since I joined the Dextero team almost 2 years ago, I've had the knack for picking only bad live-action remakes to lead coverage for. Five Nights at Freddy was the first, though this feels like award-winning Shakespeare in hindsight. So I don't know if you're really going to trust this person's view on that one, too, because that movie ended up being a success at the box office, and the audience score was really, really good on that one. Borderlands was second, which I think think we can all kind of universally agree that was really bad and absolutely flopped at the box office. And now a Minecraft movie rounds up my trilogy of nightmares. I pride myself on happily loving a bit of trash, but this thing takes things too far. So they basically talk about the logistics of it. They basically try to hide an orb in the new world. It's full spoiler alert for the movie and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to go through and read the whole thing in case you actually do want to go see this movie. But if you want to go check out the article, get their full breakdown, get Jasmine's full, just absolute evisceration of this movie, go check out their website, go read all of that kind of stuff out there. They do say the one highlight, though, is Jennifer Coolidge. Many of you will probably know her from like the American Pie movies and stuff like that. The lady's fabulous. She's hilarious. She's a comedy legend. And you know what? She's a lot of fun. So at least apparently Jennifer Coolidge was really funny. What is kind of weird about this, and if it's true, she's supposed to have like a relationship with one of the villagers, and like, I don't know, it sounds kind of weird. It sounds kind of weird, but we'll see what happens with all of that as well. You guys will have to let me know what you guys think of it when you go see the movie. But this is their final conclusion on this. This is Jasmine's final conclusion here. Score 1 out of 5, awful. Let's be real. I enjoyed the child who kicked my seat for the entirety of the train ride to the screening more than this. I enjoyed only being able to have £1.75 Craig's sausage roll for dinner because I ran out of time before this. I later enjoyed watching 5.5 hours of Marvel unveiling doomsday chairs more than this. And that is just, I mean, we all saw that, right? Like, talk about the dumbest marketing idea in the world that they got so much backlash for. But hey, it got them a lot of attention. That thing got tons of views. So yeah, needless to say, I definitely waited for it all to be over and for one of these fine people like Jasmine over here to write up a whole article giving me all the breakdowns on all of that. So you get the idea. A Minecraft movie is one I'll happily scroll past whenever it starts streaming. Players, please stick to the game. Cinephiles, please spend your money elsewhere. And parents, please try not to lose your mind when your kid asks to see this. I hope you enjoy your inevitable Happy Meal, though. Yowza. Needless to say, Jasmine didn't really like it all that much. And the critic score, all critics, we don't have the top critic score yet, which is always kind of fun to see what the disparagement is on all of that, on all of that kind of stuff. Anyway, but needless to say, this one right here has a 54% for overall critics. So what are some of the critics saying? Before we get to all of the box office numbers, let's see what we've got here. Eskimo TV here says, never heard of that. Minecraft movie has energy and will entertain younger fans, but for everyone else, it's just another generic family adventure. The story is predictable and forgettable. Fun for kids, meh for cinephiles, which that sounds pretty standard for a lot of the kind of Minecraft movies and stuff like that. Christian Toto said, Hollywood and Toto says, Jack Black, Jason Momoa over-deliver in this sweet but brain-dead adaptation. And that's a positive review, boys and girls. That's a positive review, and he calls it a brain-dead adaptation. Original score, 2.5 out of 4. So he uses a 4-point scale, so he can just barely give it a positive. Like on any other scale, that would be a splat. This guy here says, the movie is funnier before the story becomes confined within that digital boxy world. This guy over here, Movie Show Plus, CBR. Maybe it won't get awards buzz like Barbie or the Lego movie, but it delivers exactly what its titles promise. Big screen Minecraft adventure. This is another one, Casey Chong, a blocky bore. Minecraft movie arrives in exceedingly silly with puerile humor meant for younger children and diehard gamer enthusiasts. Well, sounds like maybe it just wasn't made for you. The goofy characters, inane narrative, and dull musical numbers will be a chore to sit through for most adults. So yeah, it's one of those things that it's just kind of one of them situations. They're not big fans of this. If Minecraft is the game, and this is from Global Mail, a quote-unquote top critic. If Minecraft is the game where kids exercise their creativity by building new digital worlds full of tunnels and fortresses, a Minecraft movie is where creativity goes to die. Yeah, this guy right here, it mostly chooses laziness over imagination, directly insulting everything Minecraft stands for. Wow. Wow. Oh, wow. This said she gave it a splat, but she said at least her kids liked it. Pointless isn't a bad word to describe most of a Minecraft movie, as even with its broad, family-accessible margins, it feels like there's a real dearth of consequence. So they just go on and on and on. This one's funny. This is from Discussing Film. This is a new low for modern video game adaptations, being painfully unfunny and simply ugly to look at with the uncanny CGI. And I think that's something that a lot of people talked about, right? That CGI looked horrifying. The villagers look disturbing. The sheep are terrifying. I mean, that's something that even Dextero brings up in here in their article right here. I like this. Is really great. But obviously, this is all 10 times better in the game, and you go to experience it properly. So what's the movie adding to the experience? Nothing, except nightmares about the deranged sheep pictured above. And I just loved that line. That was so great. But over to the box office side of things, right? And this is from Variety. Obviously, you can go over to Weekend movie preview, Minecraft movie tracking in $100 million plus opening weekend potential. And now they obviously mostly just track the domestic box office right here. They're talking like $85 to $100 million is what they're saying for the domestic box office. But this is where things get kind of interesting, because even Warner Brothers doesn't have as much faith in this movie as what they probably should. And, you know, considering that their first trailer got ratioed into oblivion with, 402 million views and 1.8 million downvotes to only 738,000 upvotes. I mean, obviously this did not start out strong. Now, obviously things have gotten better on the trailer since this one. 337 upvotes, only 65 downvotes, 457,000 upvotes, and only to 62,000 upvotes, right? But needless to say, Warner Brothers is obviously worried about this one, because check this out. Warner Brothers' legendary cinematic take on the beloved video game is targeting $70 million to $80 million in its domestic opening weekend. Based on surging advance ticket sales, rivals and independent tracking services believe the final number could be closer to $90 million. And if that ends up being the case, that could be a very nice, strong opening weekend and would at least give this movie a chance at making a profit by the end of its run. While Warner Brothers, the company producing the movie, is offering a softer $65 million figure. Now, all this tell you, we've already done some basic math on this one and ran some numbers and stuff like that right here before we even started this video. If it does open at a $65 million opening weekend, this thing will struggle to make $475 million. And that $475 million, right, and this was globally, right, because they expected to make $65 million overseas, right, and at a 50% weekend over weekend drop, which is a very, very, very good weekend drop, means it would need great legs. It means the audience has to love it, the fans have to love it, right? It would be a struggle for this thing to reach $475 million globally. Now, if that's the case, with a $150 million reported production budget, this thing has to crack at least 500, if not 600, at least 500, if not $550 million to actually be considered a profitable and success. And if it really does come in at $65 million on opening weekend, that could be very bad. So if you love this franchise, if you end up loving this movie, make sure you tell your friends and your family about it and everybody else that, hey, guess what? The critics are a bunch of idiots. You shouldn't listen to them. It's a good, fun, family-friendly movie. Go see it and make it a success. Because if it does come in at Warner Brothers numbers, that is going to be a hard slog to hit to even get to $500 million globally. And that means this thing has to have serious legs, boys and girls. So a Minecraft movie should add another $65 million plus at the international box office for a grand total of $135 million to a $150 million global start. If it gets that $150 million, if it comes in on the high estimate side of things, that is a really good start and would probably make it to where more than likely, depending on the audience score, more than likely it will end up making a profit. Now, mind you, it might not be the best example. This one hasn't got as much backlash as Snow White, but Snow White came in under estimates for every single weekend that was predicted by any of these people in the trade magazines. So take that for what you will. We'll have to see how people actually feel about this movie when it comes out over the weekend. So the film cost $150 million to produce and plenty more to market, right? So generally, most of the time, your box office, your production budget, you can basically count on the fact, like Robert Meyer Burnett, people inside the Hollywood industry have said this before, more often than not, your marketing budget is the same as your production budget, which means this movie cost $300 million to make, boys and girls, right? And if you do the 2.5 times on that one, because why do we do 2.5 times? Because you only get half of the domestic box office and you only get you get less than half of the international box office. It's like 25% in China, where this movie might actually do pretty good at. But that means that you're talking, boys and girls, that movie needs to make at least $600 to $750 million if that ends up being the actual case. If it's only got a $100,000 budget, obviously that $100 million marketing budget, obviously that comes down. But this thing has been everywhere. There's even been like conglomerations with other companies and like stuff like that with this. So needless to say, it's going to see what happens here. So there's some of their arguments as to why it's going to make these numbers. Thanks to pin-up demand, multi-generational appeal, and goodwill towards the choose your own adventure property. However, a Minecraft movies looks like it'll be a commercial winner for Warner Brothers and movie theaters. Although it's based on one of the best-selling video games in history, its kind of association doesn't always guarantee success in Hollywood. Just to ask backers of last year's Borderlands, obviously. So obviously you can talk about Super Mario Brothers, you can talk about Sonic the Hedgehog, which has been very successful, Uncharted, which didn't do very well at all. And then the Super Mario movies, which is the highest grossing video game adaptation of all time at $1.3 billion, boys and girls. So is this going to be a $1 billion movie? No, I don't think so. I think the over edition of Jack Black, which I think a lot of audiences are just seriously kind of done with him at this point. He's been in absolutely everything. You know, he was fine in Super Mario Brothers movie, but at the exact same time, like, he's just really oversaturated. And I mean, if you've seen the toys, they are certainly not going to make any money on the merchandise from this movie specifically, at least with these characters. And then Jason Momoa's wardrobe outfit, what's up with the giant pink jacket? I don't get it. I don't know. But needless to say, boys and girls, it'll be very interesting to see what happens with the Minecraft movie over the weekend, because the critics hate it. Like, there's just no doubt about that one whatsoever. The critics absolutely despise it. A 55% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which will probably only get worse as it goes along, because right now there's only like 67 total reviews from all of the approved critics over there at Rotten Tomatoes. And yeah, given the fact that they generally always hate video game things, but those box office predictions was what kind of gives me a worry and a moment to pause, because at $65 million, if Warner Brothers ends up being right, it's going to be a very hard slog in order to get to that $500 or even that $600 million mark they have to make globally in order for this thing to be considered profitable. At the end of the day, we will find out, because what's going to happen is the audiences are going to decide. The fans are going to decide. You guys are going to go out there. You're going to see this movie this weekend, whether you want to or not, in some cases with those of us with children. And you're going to go out there and you're going to talk about it. And you're going to let your friends know, and you're letting your family know, and you're going to let me know, and you're going to let everybody else know that this thing was either great, it was a good time, or it was an absolute disastrous dumpster fire, and even my kids hated it. I have no idea how that is going to go. But Jack Black and Jason Momoa, I mean, I really wouldn't mind seeing them have a flop underneath their belt, because honestly, I'm just kind of sick of Jack Black. But at the end of the day, the one thing I hope for the most is the fans are happy and they'll absolutely enjoy it, because guess what? If not Warner Brothers, if you don't make your fans happy, this thing is going to turn into a disastrous dumpster fire, and it won't just be the critics hating on it, it'll be all of us, and you will end up losing hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office. So I hope you made the smart decision, Warner Brothers.